High school student Kinjirou Sakamachi starts his day with a painful awakening from his younger sister, Kureha. Regardless, upon arrival at school, the popular and handsome Subaru Kono is seen as a student who works as a butler for Kanade, the daughter of the school principal. Meanwhile, Kinjirou has the rare disease called gynophobia, which causes an abnormal fear of women, which is shown after a weird encounter with Makaru. Later, while cooling off in the restroom, he chances upon Subaru wearing girls' undies, which results in Subaru chasing Kinjirou to the chemistry lab and attacking him for what he saw. However, when a jar containing a frog falls from the shelf, Kinjirou jumps in to save Subaru, but Kinjirou discovers that Subaru is actually a girl after landing on her. In response, Subaru throws a fire extinguisher at Kinjirou, which knocks him unconscious. He later wakes up in the infirmary chained to the bed with one hand free next to Kanade, who teases him a bit. She then explains that the Kano family has served the Suzutsuki family through lineage, in which Subaru, as the only child in her generation, must cross-dress as a boy to attend high school and continue serving as her butler. Kanade then threatens Kinjirou with her sadistic behavior and forcibly forms a contract with him to keep Subaru's true gender a secret, as well as to find a way to cure his genophobia. Due to rumors that Kinjirou and Subaru are now in a relationship, Kinjirou earns the ire of a fan club named the Shooting Star Subaru Sama, or the S4, though their attempts are thwarted by a defected fan club called the Serve Subaru Observational Committee. Later, Kanade has Kinjirou go on a mock date with Subaru at an arcade in an attempt to cure his genophobia, while giving him a butler voucher with a sheep drawn, redeemable for any irrefutable order to Subaru as an apology for her actions. After winning a sheep plushie for her near the end of the date, Kinjirou redeems the butler voucher and orders Subaru to baa like a sheep, but then she starts violating his personal space while asking for more orders. Meanwhile, Kureha, who has been spying on them, suddenly appears, in which she believes that Subaru is instead a boy cross-dressing as a girl. Regardless, Subaru easily defeats Kureha in a fight and causes her to run back home. The next day, as Kinjirou and Subaru start bonding as friends, they help each other from exposing their respective secrets, genophobia, and female identity during a school physical examination, despite the considerable embarrassment they are forced to go through. After the two enjoy lunch together, Kanade appears while Subaru is sleeping, telling Kinjirou that Subaru has finally found her first friend. When Kinjirou returns home, he is shocked when Kureha reveals that she has fallen in love with Subaru. Oh, how the turntables. Afterwards, in order to settle an issue, Kanade sets up a double date at the swimming pool with Kinjirou, Subaru, and Kureha. Kinjirou is told that Kanade and Subaru were once kidnapped for ransom when they were children. Later, Kinjirou rescues a girl from drowning, but he passes out, and so a flashback occurs where his hospitalized father, Jiro, explains that Kinjirou's name means "stand by me" due to the kanji character in his name for clothes. Back in the present, when Kinjirou regains consciousness, Subaru receives a phone call from a strange man in a wolf mask, who has kidnapped Kanade and Kureha at an unfinished building. When the kidnapper hangs up after holding a knife, Subaru shivers due to her acrophobia, the morbid fear of sharp objects, stemming from the traumatizing incident from her childhood, in which she felt inadequate as a butler due to her inability to protect Kanade as a child. However, Kinjirou knocks her out, promising her any favor he will owe to her. When Kinjirou meets the kidnapper at the unfinished building, Kinjirou is unable to land a hit. That is until Subaru shows up and defeats the kidnapper herself, overcoming her acrophobia. It turns out that the kidnapper is actually Subaru's father, Nagare Kano, in which the incident was orchestrated by Kanade in order to help Subaru overcome her acrophobia, believing that Kinjirou would help since he could empathize on the matter. Later, Subaru tearfully tells Kinjirou not to risk himself again, afraid that her first friend would end up being destroyed. However, Kureha interrupts their moment, inadvertently revealing that Kanade was supposed to be going out with Kinjirou. Subaru then immediately reacts with anger, forcing Kinjirou to run away with Kanade from both Subaru and Kureha. The next morning, Kinjirou finally begins a cheerful day with the start of Golden Week, since Kureha has gone to handcrafting club camp for 3 days. However, to his surprise, Subaru, who's dressed up with cat ears and tail, needs a place to stay and act as his butler because Kanade's father kicked her out of the mansion for the time being. Since Subaru does not want Kinjirou to lay around early in the morning, the two train inside the gym to pass the time. Shortly after, Kinjirou decides to take a bath alone, but Subaru insists on joining him to wash his back. Nevertheless, this moment is interrupted when Kureha returns home early from camp due to her breaking her arm after she fought a bear, causing a brief misunderstanding when she sees Subaru's clothes in the wash basket. Kanade arrives as well, deciding to randomly live with Kinjirou and act as his maid, resulting in a brief competition to determine who's better, but Kinjirou suddenly passes out from a cold. After Subaru attempts to treat him with several questionable cures, Kanade finally explains the situation by taking him to the beach, where it is revealed that Nageur was also kicked out of the mansion due to an ongoing fight with Subaru following the events at the unfinished building. Regardless, Subaru declines to return to the mansion because she wants to take care of Kinjirou, fearful that she might lose him from an illness just like her late mother. Though lightheaded from his cold, Kinjirou convinces Subaru to make amends with Nageur and return to the mansion together. At the end of Golden Week, Subaru thanks Kinjirou in embarrassment before leaving, in which Kanade notes that this is the first time that Subaru has thanked anyone other than her. Since Kanade states that Kinjirou does not seem like much of a chicken anymore, she proceeds to kiss him, making it the first kiss she will always remember. Please leave some love if you watched this far. On the way to school, Kinjirou gets run over by a girl on a scooter, while also noticing that she attends the same high school. When he sees that his glasses are caught in her thigh boots, she takes things the wrong way when he asks if he could reach in there, causing her to attack him in response. After Kinjirou retrieves his glasses, the girl introduces herself as Masamune Uzami, an acquaintance of Kureha in the handcrafting club, before knocking him out. Kinjirou suddenly wakes up in the infirmary, where Subaru reveals that she found him passed out in the middle of the street and brought him to school. Subaru eventually requests Kinjirou to accompany her to the upcoming school festival. However, when Kinjirou starts talking about his first kiss and wanting to redo it somehow, Subaru discreetly mistakes this as the time when she was giving him CPR while he was unconscious during the swimming pool incident. Suddenly, Kanade interrupts their moment, suggesting to them the theme of a cross-dressing cosplay cat cafe for the school festival. Kinjirou later runs into Masamune on the school roof, who reveals that she is actually a member of the S4, but she demands him to be her boyfriend for the school festival, showing evidence regarding the mock date Kinjirou had with Subaru at the arcade as blackmail in order to undermine the observational committee. Subaru, who soon overhears all of this, punches him in the stomach and leaves off in tears. Kinjirou later walks with Masamune to the mall to buy her a swimsuit that was quite embarrassing for Kinjirou. They then befriend each other before parting ways in their homes. As the preparations for the school festival are underway the next day, Nakuru is shown spying on Subaru. During the school festival, Subaru interrupts Kinjirou and Masamune during their fake date. They are then drawn to an animal cafe where they find Kureha, who's happy to see Masamune. However, Masamune, intimidated by Kureha's carefree and enthusiastic attitude, tells Kinjirou to leave on without her, stating that he was not enjoying the fake date anyway. Kinjirou is then drawn out by Nakuru, dressed in a sheep mascot costume, and she introduces herself as a handcrafting club member and the chairwoman of the observational committee. Nakuru is aware that Masamune is planning to undermine the observational committee, especially since Masamune lied about protecting Kinjirou from the S4. Kinjirou explains to Subaru that the two fan clubs are organizing a meeting, which may turn into a war with him stuck in the middle. At the meeting, Kinjirou and Subaru, joining the observational committee, are surprised that Kanade is a representative of the S4. The meeting is actually a quiz bowl focused on the subject of Subaru. When the last question regarding who was Subaru's first kiss is asked, Subaru reluctantly reveals the answer as being Kinjirou, referring to the swimming pool incident. After Kanade later informs him that Masamune resigned from the S4, Kinjirou finds Masamune alone on the school roof. Masamune explains that Subaru has changed in personality from lonely to friendly when Kinjirou entered into the picture. In response, Kinjirou reveals his gynophobia to Masamune and later introduces her to Subaru and Kanade as her new friends. The next day, Masamune vows to help Kinjirou cure his gynophobia, but she has to be comfortable with him addressing her by her first name.